A hidden camera was live streaming inside my house, and I had absolutely no idea. On the screen, Liam walked up to me, his voice icy. "You're playing games again?" My online haters were gloating in the comments. Aria is always clinging to the CEO, faking their perfect romance. Now her true colors are showing. My in-laws and sister-in-law were watching the stream too, offering cold remarks. If Liam really doesn't like her, they shouldn't force this miserable marriage. But then, the camera captured me. The woman who always maintained a gentle, graceful, and obsessively in love public image, impatiently shoving Liam's handsome face away. "What is your problem? Back off." Instead of getting angry, Liam's stoic face revealed a hint of grievance. "Are you sick of me? The day I married into money, the internet tore me apart, sending me straight to the top of the trending topics. What is going on? Did my ultimate OTP just sink? Does Aria have no shame?" She knew the CEO was in love with someone else, but she still seduced him. The worst part is her scheming actually worked. My husband, Liam Sterling, was childhood friends with Mia Kensington, an A-list sweetheart of the entertainment industry. He had invested in her movies, ruined the careers of sleazy executives who tried to take advantage of her, and even showed up on variety shows just to support her. The billionaire America's sweetheart pairing was the nation's favorite unspoken couple. Unfortunately, that fairy tale was ruined by a manipulative witch like me. During an interview, Mia forced a brave smile. Liam and his wife are a great match, but when she turned around, her eyes were red with tears. The internet instantly rallied behind the heartbroken childhood sweetheart. They dragged my name through the mud, accusing me of using dirty tricks to climb the social ladder. They even pointed out that my in-laws hated me. They weren't wrong about that last part. Liam's parents were incredibly displeased with me. Even at our wedding, their expressions were stony. His younger sister, Harper Sterling, had never once called me sister-in-law. She only ever called me by my first name. The public noticed all of this. The hashtag when will Liam divorce Aria trended year-round. I didn't really care. It wasn't like Liam and I were strangers forced together, but we weren't exactly in a passionate, sweeping romance either. I had money to spend and a gorgeous man in my bed. Life was great. Who cared what the internet thought? But I never realized they hated me this much. Sterling Tech had just developed a fully automated tracking drone camera. It was tiny, hovered silently, and featured an AI recognition system program to strictly avoid filming any private or explicit moments. To promote this revolutionary product, the PR department decided to sacrifice their CEO. The invisible drone was going to follow Liam, live streaming the daily life of a billionaire CEO to the entire world. And absolutely no one told me. While I was sprawled on the couch in my messy pajamas, my hair a tangled nest, the live stream quietly began. Shouldn't someone have told Aria about the stream? What if she says something she shouldn't? Harper pouted, glaring unhappily at the screen showing her brother. On the stream, Liam wasn't interacting with the chat. He was leaning back in the leather seat of his chauffeur-driven car, his eyes closed, looking slightly exhausted. He had woken up early to host the product launch, and now he was doing this live stream to appease the marketing team. He was drained, but his cold, aloof demeanor didn't dampen the internet's enthusiasm one bit. The most hardcore brand ambassador in the world, CEO Sterling, has arrived. Ha ha ha. This is way more entertaining than watching celebrities. Speaking of celebrities, is Aria going to show up in this stream? Ugh. Please don't bring up that toxic woman right now. Help. Just thinking about her fake, try-hard face makes me suffocate from my ruined OTP. Don't worry, guys. A live stream is the ultimate lie detector. Just wait for Aria's true colors to be exposed. Mrs. Sterling glanced at the hateful comments scrolling across the screen and spoke mildly. Aria is a pop singer, not a trained actress. She kept fake and natural demeanor for hours on end. If we warned her, the viewers would think it was scripted, which would ruin the promotion. Besides, your brother knows what he's doing. Harper's pout deepened, clearly annoyed. I just don't understand why he had to marry someone like her. Mr. and Mrs. Sterling fell silent. They didn't like Aria as a daughter-in-law, but they had always respected Liam's decisions. They hadn't actively stopped the wedding, but they certainly weren't warm to her. This livestream was an opportunity for them to see the reality of Liam and Aria's marriage. It would determine whether they needed to step in and offer Liam some sincere advice. If the two were truly miserable, it was better to cut ties sooner rather than later. Meanwhile, I was wearing a fuzzy yellow bear onesie, my hair clipped up haphazardly with a cheap plastic claw. I was curled up in a beanbag chair, furiously tapping on my phone, completely oblivious when Liam walked through the front door. He took off his suit jacket and tie, poured a glass of water at the kitchen island, and then paced back and forth in front of me a few times. I caught a shadow out of the corner of my eye, but I was in the middle of a ranked match. I couldn't be bothered. Seeing that I was ignoring him, he walked right up to me, clearly displeased. His jaw tightened, and his tone was as cold as frost. "You're playing games again?" Instantly, a tidal wave of comments flooded the screen. You can't blame Mr. Sterling for being mad. He works all day, comes home, and doesn't even get a welcome back. I wonder who the real boss is here. A freezing house, a cold husband. Welcome to Aria's tragic reality. She deserves it. That's what she gets for using dirty tricks to tear apart the golden duo. Ugh. Poor Mia. The haters were practically throwing a parade, fully expecting me to jump up in terror and grovel for his forgiveness. After all, my public persona was that of a submissive, gentle wife who was desperately, madly in love with Liam. Instead, I frowned impatiently and swatted my hand out, shoving Liam's handsome face as far away as possible. "What is your problem? Back off. You're blocking my screen." Liam's eyes widened slightly. His stoic, chiseled face revealed a distinct hint of grievance. "Are you sick of me?" For a solid 10 seconds, the live chat was completely, utterly blank. Harper nearly dropped her phone in shock. Am I hallucinating? Is my brother whining? Hearing the pouty grievance in his voice, I finally pulled my attention away from the game and looked up in surprise. He was leaning over me, one arm planted above my head, his warm breath lightly brushing against my face. I reached out and poked his arm. He didn't budge. He just stayed there, stiff and stubborn, staring at me with dark, intense eyes. I immediately realized what was happening. The guy was secretly throwing a tantrum again. He was always like this. Whenever I ignored him for too long, he would trap me in his arms, refuse to speak, and refuse to let me go. He would just press his lips together and stare at me, as stubborn as a massive, sulky golden retriever. But he was incredibly easy to coax. All it took was a hug or a kiss. Then he would act like nothing happened, quietly curl the corners of his lips, and revert back to his calm, collected CEO persona. I figured it had to do with how he was raised. As the eldest son and heir to the Sterling Empire, his parents demanded absolute perfection from him. From his academics to his business acumen, down to his every word and action, he had to be flawless. He used to perfectly fit my stereotype of an alpha billionaire. Stern, humorless, and incredibly elegant. Honestly, he cared more about his image than I did as an actual pop star. It wasn't until we got together that I realized his entire personality was basically an act. On the outside, he was all business. On the inside, he was a giant softie constantly craving affection. I sighed, put my phone down, and wrapped my arms around his neck. I pressed a few soft kisses behind his ear and whispered, "How could I be? You're the absolute best, honey." Liam's earlobes turned bright cherry red. He hugged me back fiercely, burying his face in the crook of my neck, as if trying to absorb my body heat. A moment later, he straightened up, then his body suddenly went completely rigid. By now, the live chat was exploding in absolute shock. What is CEO Sterling doing? Was he throwing a tantrum? Is this how they actually act at home? I refuse to believe it. It has to be scripted, definitely an act. Remember when Mia was filming that reality show and Mr. Sterling visited the set? He yelled at Aria to shut up in front of everyone. Mr. Sterling is sacrificing so much for this PR stunt. Wait. But his ears are literally red? The internet was in mourning. They couldn't believe a dignified billionaire was lowering himself to act like a cheesy influencer for a marketing campaign. But Harper knew better. Her brother was rigid and principled. He would never force himself to act out a fake romantic script just for PR. Especially not a script that ruined his intimidating reputation. Honestly, The fact that he agreed to let a camera follow him at all had already shocked the entire company. Harper stared blankly at the screen. After a long pause, she pointed at Liam and asked her parents, did they hire a body double? The makeup is really convincing. Mr. and Mrs. Sterling were speechless. As their eldest son, Liam had always been mature and dependable. They never had to worry about him. But seeing their cold, ruthless son blushing and burying his face in Aria's neck, their brains short-circuited. When a person is shocked beyond a certain threshold, they just go numb. They sat there in a daze, completely unable to form words. The haters in the chat were coping hard. This makes me sick. Why does Aria get to live this perfect life after the disgusting things she did? I feel so bad for Mia. Aria literally stole her life. Oh wait. The side chicks fans are dragging the actual legal wife? You guys are delusional. Whatever. Aria isn't worth a single hair on Mia's head. Liam's sudden stiffness felt a bit odd, but I didn't think much of it. Having successfully appeased him, I grabbed my strawberry bear pillow and curled back into the sofa to resume my game. Liam opened his laptop on the coffee table and started working. As his fingers typed across the keyboard, he kept looking up to stare at me. Being a celebrity, I'm highly sensitive to being watched. After having my focus broken for the 5th time, I finally got annoyed. I shifted my body so my back was facing him. But a few minutes later, I felt that heavy, unmistakable gaze burning into my back again. I peeked over my shoulder. He had literally moved his laptop to sit on the opposite side of the table, just so he could face me again. So annoying. I groaned, crawled off the sofa, ruffled my messy hair, and prepared to relocate to the bedroom. Where are you going? Liam's hand stopped typing. Somewhere else so you can stop harassing me. I'm harassing you? He looked genuinely shocked. I scoffed, pointing 2 fingers at my own eyes, then at him. You are visually harassing me. The chat was losing it. Is Mr. Sterling always this clingy? Am I crazy? Or does Aria seem totally indifferent, while Mr. Sterling is the one obsessing over her? Aria's fans are so delusional. He gives her one nice look and suddenly they're deep in love? To be honest, their house is really cozy. TV tropes lied to me. Not every billionaire lives in a sterile, modern art mausoleum. Harper had never actually visited her brother's house, so this was her first time seeing it too. Back at the family estate, Liam's bedroom was entirely decorated in sophisticated grays and blacks, clean, sharp, and minimalist. But now? A cartoon desk calendar, a cat paw mug, and a Hello Kitty desk mat. Things her brother would have never touched in a million years were proudly displayed right next to his work laptop. It somehow made his stoic resting bitch face look incredibly cute. Harper's feelings were a complicated mess. She felt a weird mix of relief, like watching a dead tree suddenly blossom, and awkward guilt. After all, she had given Aria a lot of attitude over the years. Oh God, I'm doomed. If I start calling her sister-in-law now, is it going to look like I'm sucking up to her? The moment I stood up to leave, Liam grabbed the sleeve of my oversized bear onesie. Don't go. His voice was low, not commanding, not cold, just reluctant. The livestream comment section exploded so hard the screen visibly lagged. This cannot be the same Liam Sterling. Someone check CEO Sterling for carbon monoxide poisoning. Why does he sound like a wet abandoned puppy? Meanwhile, I looked down at him with complete disbelief. Liam, I said slowly, you are a 30-year-old man. And you're pouting because I turned around. I wasn't pouting. You literally chased my line of sight around the coffee table. That's called repositioning. I stared at him. He stared back calmly. Then, without changing expression, he quietly slid his laptop farther across the table again, so he was directly in front of me. The chat died for another 3 seconds. Harper finally slapped both hands over her face. Oh my God, she muttered weakly. He really is insane. Mrs. Sterling looked equally shaken, because Liam had never acted like this at home, not even as a child. He had always been composed, restrained, almost frighteningly self-controlled. Yet now, on millions of livestream screens, their eldest son was following his wife around the living room like an emotionally dependent house cat. Back in the villa, I completely ignored the emotional devastation currently sweeping the internet. I pointed at his laptop. Go work. You can sit beside me. I don't want to. You liked sitting beside me yesterday. That was because your office chair had a heater. It still has a heater. Tempting. Liam immediately pulled the chair slightly away from the desk for me, like he had been waiting. The comments were moving so fast they became unreadable. He moved the chair for her immediately. This man is down horrendous. Wait. Did Aria just casually admit she hangs around him daily while he works? No, because why does this feel like an old married couple? I narrowed my eyes suspiciously. You planned that, didn't you? Liam looked perfectly calm. I don't know what you mean. You baited me with the heater. No. You absolutely did. No. Shameless. But I still shuffled over wearing my fluffy slippers and dropped into the chair beside him. The second I sat down, Liam's expression visibly softened. It was subtle. A tiny relaxation around his eyes. A slight curve at the corner of his mouth. But because the live stream camera had insane resolution, the audience caught all of it. The entire internet collectively lost their minds. Harper stared blankly at the screen. He smiles at her like that? Mr. Sterling suddenly cleared his throat awkwardly. Apparently. The atmosphere in the Sterling residence became deeply complicated, because this no longer looked like a forced marriage. If anything, it looked like their terrifying eldest son was the one hopelessly attached. Meanwhile, I leaned comfortably against the heated chair while continuing my game. A few minutes later, I felt something lightly brush my hand. I looked down. Liam had silently hooked his pinky around mine while still typing one-handed on the keyboard. I immediately burst out laughing. Are you 5 years old? Without looking away from the screen, he answered calmly, maybe. The live stream chat. Mia fans down critical. I need oxygen. He's flirting while answering emails? This isn't a CEO, this is a male wife. At that exact moment, the front door suddenly opened. A bright female voice rang through the house. Liam, Auntie told me to bring over. The woman froze. The live stream froze. And the internet exploded. Because standing at the entrance holding an insulated dessert box was Mia Kensington. For one catastrophic second, the atmosphere in the villa turned deathly still. The live stream viewers went feral. Oh my God. Mia? This is the real showdown. I take back everything. This live stream is the greatest program in human history. Mia stood frozen by the entrance in a cream-colored dress, her makeup exquisite, her long hair softly curled over her shoulders. She looked exactly like the elegant, heartbreakingly gentle heroine the public adored. In her hands was a thermos carrier. She forced a smile. Auntie said Liam skipped lunch during the product launch, so she asked me to bring soup. Mrs. Sterling nearly choked on air. Harper's soul left her body, because she knew very clearly, their mother absolutely had done that. The live stream camera silently hovered between the three of us like a grim reaper documenting a murder scene. The comments exploded so violently they nearly crashed the platform. This is so awkward, I'm going to die. Why would she come to the marital home? Wait, no, Mrs. Sterling sent her? Oh my God, the in-laws really hate Aria. The tension became suffocating. Mia looked at me apologetically. Sorry, Aria. I should have called first. I blinked once, then looked at the insulated carrier. Did you bring enough for 3 people? The live stream froze. Mia froze. Even Liam turned to look at me. I stood up, stretching lazily in my oversized onesie. Perfect timing. I'm starving. The comments spiraled into confusion. Huh. That's her response? She's not mad? Meanwhile, Mia looked completely unprepared for my reaction. Probably because every tabloid in existence had painted us as mortal enemies clawing at each other over Liam. In reality, I genuinely had nothing against her. The whole stealing Liam narrative made no sense to me. Liam had never dated Mia. Never confessed to Mia. Never even been ambiguous with Mia. The internet had simply watched an attractive billionaire repeatedly help a childhood friend, and collectively decided they belonged together. Then they blamed me when he married someone else. That was hardly Mia's fault either. Honestly, The entire situation was stupid. I wandered toward the kitchen. Well, are we eating or conducting a staring contest? Liam immediately stood up and followed me. Of course he did. He trailed behind me so naturally it looked instinctive. The live stream comments were screaming. Why is the CEO following her again? He didn't even look at Mia. No, because if my husband ignored America's sweetheart to chase after me into the kitchen, I'd ascend to heaven. Mia slowly entered the dining area, her expression complicated. For the first time, she seemed to realize something was off, because the version of Liam Sterling the public imagined, cold, reserved, secretly devoted to his tragic first love, did not remotely resemble the man currently opening cabinets for his wife, because she was too lazy to reach for bowls. Top shelf, I reminded him. Liam handed me the bowls automatically. Careful, it's hot. Use the coaster. You sound 80 years old. And you behave like you're 8. The chat. This is domesticity. This is insane level domesticity. Harper watched with hollow eyes. They really live like this every day? Mrs. Sterling was equally shaken. Because Liam hated noise, hated mess, hated people touching his things. Yet the villa behind him looked warm and chaotic and unmistakably lived in. A half-finished strawberry cake sat in the fridge. A pink blanket was thrown over Liam's expensive leather sofa. There was even a ridiculous little cactus wearing sunglasses beside his work monitor. None of it matched Liam. And yet somehow, all of it suited him perfectly. At the dining table, I opened the soup container and inhaled dramatically. Oh, this smells amazing. Mia smiled reflexively, finally relaxing a little. I made it this morning. Seriously? I took a sip. Then my eyes widened. This is incredible. Mia blinked. Really? Liam, I said immediately, learn from her. Liam, who could negotiate billion-dollar acquisitions without blinking, went silent for 2 full seconds. I know how to cook. I looked at him skeptically. Last week you burned instant noodles. That pot was defective. The pot caught fire. That's a design flaw. The live stream chat moved so fast it became unreadable again. He's arguing. The CEO is actually arguing. Wait, why is this so funny? Even Mia looked stunned. Because Liam was talking. Not giving cold one-word answers. Not wearing his detached public mask. He was casually bickering with me at the dinner table like an ordinary husband. And worst of all, he looked happy. Mia's fingers slowly tightened around her spoon. The smile on her lips became faintly strained. For years, everyone had told her Liam loved her. The media said it. The public said it. Even the Sterling family had quietly implied it. So she had unconsciously begun believing it too. Not because Liam ever confessed, but because she thought, if not her, then who else could possibly make a man like Liam Sterling care? Yet now the answer sat directly across from her. A girl in a wrinkled bear onesie stealing meat from Liam's bowl, while he silently let her. And for the first time, Mia realized something terrifying. Maybe Liam had never belonged to the fantasy everyone created around them. Maybe from the very beginning, he had only ever looked at Aria this way.